Welcome back to Resilience by Faith podcast, where we share stories and topics that give God the glory. And it's talked about in a modern way where people of all ages can relate to. So come on in because we have a lot to catch up on. Welcome back, everybody, to Resilience by Faith podcast. Thank you for joining us this week for another fun, fulfilling episode to get our week started. Today, I have a very special guest with me. Her name is Yaminah, and I am so happy to have her here. And she has such a beautiful name. My goodness, I might steal it from my kids. I might name my kid after you, love. But
It's a
tell everybody
there's a whole
hello.
there's several of us. There's actually a Facebook group full of us. Some of us pronounce our names differently, but there's a Facebook group of like 60 of us. Yeah. Yeah.
What? Oh,
I
this is
know, super
news to
random.
me. Yeah, no, I'm glad you told me because I've never met anybody with your name. So I was just like,
Yeah.
what? There's 60.
At least.
But
At
thank
least.
you. Yes, no problem. Thank you, love, for joining me this afternoon and just spending time out your evening to come on the show and share your story with us. I'm so thankful to have you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Now, let me see. Where are you calling in from?
Yeah, so I am in Nashville, Tennessee. I've been here for 14 years now.
Okay. Where were you before Nashville? I like Nashville.
Okay. So before Nashville, I was in Chattanooga for 5 years for college. And
Uh-huh.
before Chattanooga, I was in Knoxville. That's where I'm born and raised.
Oh, cool. Okay, so
Mm.
oh Lord, I'm a
Tennessee
mutt.
girl
I
through and
always
through.
tell people yes, and I always tell people I'm a mutt because I started off in New Jersey, then I went to South Carolina, then I went to Virginia,
Hmm.
and I lived
Hmm.
like borderline Virginia, Tennessee. Like I was in Roanoke, I was in the mountains. So
Uh-huh.
everybody would always go to Gatlinburg and like get a
Yep.
cabin and like
Yep.
yeah, and I'm just like I've never been. I wanted to go, but I
Yeah.
didn't have nobody to go with. So
Yeah.
but I've always
It's the
wanted to go
thing
to
to do if
Tennessee.
you're up there. And I've even been back with friends. We've put together a group of us and done a cabin trip. It's a good time. You should do it.
Okay. Okay. Well, I got to find me some friends first.
Okay. Okay. We'll work on that. We'll work on
Work
that.
on it. Oh Lord. But yes, so like I guess just to break the ice, usually when I'm talking to people or I'm getting to know people interviewing them, I always ask, what is your favorite caffeinated beverage? Because I do medicine and all I do is drink coffee every day. So I'm just like, that's my favorite. I like hazelnut, I like vanilla, cinnamon, don't matter. So are you a caffeinated drinker? Are you more of a tea drinker or kind of
I will say I caffeine does not do it for me the way that it gives other people that extra jolt of energy. Energy
mm-hmm.
drinks, like none of that stuff. Either that or I'm just completely unaware, but I don't think that's the case. It doesn't really do it for me. I do like
Uh-huh.
the flavor of coffee. So I enjoy
Okay.
coffee with like tea or cake or something. I mean with like cake or pie or something like that. But if
Yes.
I'm picking between coffee and tea, I'm always gonna go with tea.
Tea. What's your favorite? I've had
Yes.
a couple of people like that too. What's your favorite type of tea?
I would say probably chai, because I do like a little splash of milk, oat milk in my tea. Gives it a little
Uh-huh.
creaminess. Yeah.
Finally, somebody who likes to put milk in their tea. I do like milk in my tea. My mom did
Yes.
that since I was little. And
Hmm.
other people looked at me like I was crazy. But now everybody's
Hmm.
drinking boba tea and they have
Yeah.
milk tea. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, see, I was on before you guys caught up.
Oh, I
I
think
was
the British have been on to milk and tea for quite some time. So yeah.
oh the British got us beat. Okay.
Yeah. But we're glad to have it here too.
Yes, finally. We're glad to have it here too. Well, love, let me see. Tell us something about you. Tell us a little bit like a little synopsis about who you are and what brought you to wanting to be a guest on the show.
Yeah. So I launched a life coaching business in February of this year, 2/22/22. I
Right.
am a career coach, and I am here to help women make more money landing leadership roles. And if a
Right.
leadership role is not the end goal, just getting into a position that's going to be fulfilling. Because a lot of us are just going through the motions, doing what we feel like we need to do, following in the footsteps of somebody else or somebody else's dream, and not doing what we want to do. And too much of time is consumed at work, and we should enjoy it. And in addition to that, it shouldn't just barely be enjoyable. Like, we should be thoroughly enjoying the time that we spend doing whatever it is that we're spending our time on.
Right, right. So
Yeah.
I just recently figured out and cracked the code that, well, maybe I didn't crack the code. This might not be new to you guys who are listening, but it just dawned on me that I'm going to spend the rest of my life working. And about time I retire, I'm going to be old and nothing to show for it. Now, we all
Hmm.
have 401k and all this other stuff, but like as for actually living life, I
Yeah.
don't think this is a setup for actually living it.
It's not.
And I like it's not, it's real ghetto. And I was
Yeah.
telling you as you said that, I was just like leadership roles. I mean, I
Hmm.
do enjoy what I get the chance to do. I love working in psychiatry and substance abuse, and I
Hmm.
love taking care of people and giving patient education and everything. And outside of work, I do all these other things. But I'm just like, what was like the catapult point for you, like saying, I want to do leadership? Because you could have did like, I'm going to teach you how to do real estate, or I'm going to teach you how to be a public speaker. I'm going to,
Yeah.
like, what made you say leadership is like my niche?
Yeah. So I hired a coach to help me with getting clearer on my niche this year,
Hmm.
because it's something that I've been trying to figure out, but it never, like, it makes sense conceptually, but then
Right,
creating it and it feeling like something that people will understand when you say it is a totally
right.
different thing. And so I feel like for leadership, it was just, it doesn't have to be, like I said, it doesn't have to be leadership, but I do feel like it tends to be people who are ready to advance in some way in their career are the people who have the drive and the dedication that it requires to commit to coaching and actually getting results and moving the needle forward. Not
Hmm.
saying that that's the only people, but anybody who wants to be a public speaker or in real estate, whatever that looks like, sales or whatever, there's
Hmm.
leadership in all of those positions. So it felt like a good umbrella way to capture people who are serious about next steps in their life.
I like that because sometimes some people can be too specialized or too niche down and
Yeah.
they kind of cut themselves off. So I like the fact that your coach helped you realize that it's just plain leadership. That's what we're looking at.
Hmm.
And that, like you said, there is leadership in every one of those little things that I mentioned. So yeah,
Yeah.
it is like an umbrella term. I like that.
Hmm. Thank
I
you.
like that. So when did you actually like launch? Well, what were you doing kind of like before? And
Hmm.
then what was like the turning point when you just said, this ain't for me. I'm
Yeah.
about to leave and go into business for myself.
Yes. So full disclosure, I am still full-time employed. I
Okay.
work as an accounting manager. That is my
Uh-huh.
day job. I have done that for
Mhm.
9 years now. Not the
Okay.
accounting manager part, but in the same company, in the same role. Like, I was a step down, and I got promoted 3 years ago, I think it was.
Oh,
But yeah, I've been there for 9 years. The job is easy enough.
mhm.
And honestly, when I decided some years back, I was like, you know what? I'm going to commit. I work for state government. I said, I'm going to
Mhm.
commit to this job and allow my student loans to be forgiven because
Yes.
public service worker.
Mhm.
And that has been my goal. My loans are due to be forgiven in total by 2028, regardless of whatever's currently going on.
Yes.
But that's 5 years away, with 2023 right around the corner.
Right.
And my job does not feed me and lift me up and nourish me the way that I desire. Number
Mhm.
one. Number two, it's never going to pay me enough for me to live the life that I see for myself.
Amen.
Um, And number three, there was a time when I had first transitioned into management, and I
Mhm.
had recognized that despite the skill set that I may have, people are going to show up how they're going to show up, and the
Right.
systems that are in place in companies works the way that they intend for it to, and I'm not willing to do other people's work. I'm not willing to micromanage and hold people's hands. You're expected to do this job. We've laid it out ABC. If you need some additional support, that's one thing, but I'm not doing it for you. And so I
Right.
realized that one, I was having to set boundaries to protect myself at work. But
Mhm.
two, it does not make me come alive. I don't dread going in. I'm not the person who rolls over on Monday and says, "Oh, I can't believe it's Monday. I hate it here." But
Yeah.
I would rather not roll over and do this 5 days a week. And the
Right.
turning point for me was actually when I had that early on management experience,
Mhm.
and having to take a stand, set boundaries for myself to protect myself. I realized that that was very synonymous with
Mhm.
my relationship with family members and friendships that I'd had over the
Mhm.
years. And so I was like, oh, there's a pattern here.
Yeah.
2020 was when this happened. Also, the pandemic. So everybody was going through the worst of the worst. And
Mhm.
it just got really dark. And I had had a reading in New Orleans in November of 2020. And she said that she saw me on stage sharing a message. This is nothing I've ever considered for myself. But I
Right.
do know that people find my voice soothing, they find my advice sound, and I've kind of naturally always been a coach. And
Yeah.
so when she said that, and then I kept digging into what that could look like, I learned that speakers book trips around where they're going to have speaking engagements. And I said, oh, this
Mm.
is my new life. Let me go ahead and
Yeah.
build this out. Yeah, and that was really the starting point. And learning the things that I've learned and knowing the money that is in speaking and just in people having transformation, like it's going to
Mhm.
always require me to grow and challenge myself.
Yes.
And it continues to transition people throughout the world. And so it feels like the biggest purpose I've ever felt like I needed to serve, but it also doesn't
Mhm.
feel very heavy. And I'm
Yes.
going to be retiring at 50. We're
Amen.
speaking
I
it.
love that. I love that for you, sis. I love
At
that
least
for
the
you.
option to retire, even if I don't actually, I just want the option.
Mhm. Yeah, just the option. I mean, because like I said, it's really like it's not giving. It's really not. It's real ghetto out
Yeah.
here. And they're talking about raising the retirement age again, and then people
Yeah.
worrying about Social Security, and some
We're
people
not
not
going to
knowing
get
about
Social
401.
Security.
Like
Yeah.
we just, I believe it. I believe they just want to take all that money stored up that people done paid into and
Yeah.
spend it on nonsense. I
Yeah.
truly believe that. But I love that for you. So, like, you're teaching people how to go out here and get to the bag, doing type of leadership or doing speaking. But then it's funny because they also saw you speaking,
Mhm.
you yourself, as you were like coming up or like when you were younger. Have you ever honestly saw yourself like getting up and speaking in front of people? Like, have you been shy or have you been kind of like the quiet person or kind of like just with it, just out there?
Okay. So, as a kid, I've always had a lot of personality.
Yeah.
Um, I've also been very independent.
Mhm.
So like I've been in get shit done mode my whole life. But
Yes.
along the way, growing up in a single mother household with a
Yeah.
younger sibling, I took
Mhm.
on, because it wasn't my choice, additional responsibilities. And that is something that I carried until about 2 years ago when I started
Mm.
giving everybody their things back.
Yes.
And so in the process of childhood and being free and, no limitations, just being wild and funky, being a kid,
Mhm.
it got watered down in the mix of being an adult so early. And
Yeah.
so then also, Dealing with conflict was not a thing that we did in my house.
Mhm.
Talking about feelings. My mother told me wasn't nothing wrong with her, that I was
Yeah.
the one that needed help. Like it just expressing myself has not been something I've had room to do. I've not been allowed the space to have my own feelings and thoughts about what I like and don't like because I've been in a space where I've been a caretaker for so many people around me. Um, but I also know at the same time that, like I said, coaching seems to be a natural thing. I've had strangers all my life walk up to me and tell me their life
Right.
unprovoked. I'm not standing there like, hey, give me a hug and come tell me your life. People like just tell me their business.
Yes.
And when I, give feedback or whatever the case may be, there's always so much value in that for the other person.
Mhm.
And so with that being, the reflection and the awareness that was brought about, I was like, you know what? This speaking thing could be a thing. I just would have to like stop being comfortable being the woman behind the curtain and be
Right.
okay with being the face of something and people like talking to me directly. Because, I think I'm hilarious. I share really cool stories and people like to listen to what I have to say. So I think
Yes.
that being on a stage would be the best way
Mhm.
to spread my message and to really display my personality and for people to be able to connect with me on a deeper level.
I love it. I
Mm.
definitely love it. And me and you are more alike than we know because my mom, like, I grew up in a single parent household, and I'm telling you, I started reading this book, and it's called Adults of Immature, Emotionally Immature Parents.
Hmm.
And when I say I'm at the very beginning, but that's a little book, but powerful. And it
Yeah.
opened my eyes. Like, I just started reading this book last month, and it opened my
Hmm.
eyes like something serious. Like, I
Yeah.
never looked at the parent as such an immature child. And I was just like, but why? And then the book goes into trying to understand why they are the way they are.
Hmm.
And then that made me think back, okay, my grandparents, okay, now I
Yes.
understand, blah, blah, blah. But
Yes.
now that I have an understanding, I want to make sure that my kids don't experience that. I want to raise them to say, hey, I don't feel like giving you a hug right now, or
Yes.
hey, I don't feel like that's appropriate, or just to speak up for themselves so that they
Yeah.
don't feel like they can't express themselves or they feel shut down because children are seen and not heard. That little blurb,
Yes. Oh my
yeah, I
gosh.
can't
That's been the
stand
story of
it.
my walking life. Yes.
Can't stand it. And so I just
No.
want to undo all that when I
Yeah.
finally maybe one day have a kiddo. But before I have a kiddo, I want to live my best life. So you hit me when you said that earlier, that this ain't the life, or they ain't going to pay me the money I need
Mm-mm.
to live my
The
life.
life I
I'm
want to live, honey, they ain't paying enough. They ain't paying the top people
They're
enough.
not. They're not. Top tier, sis. Top tier.
Yeah.
Luxury. Black girl lux is giving. That's what
Yes.
I want. And
Yeah.
so you're right. Like, we shouldn't have to slave and not be able to enjoy it because we only get one life, and then before you know it, the life be gone. And you're like, well, what did you do? Did you enjoy your life?
Hmm. Yeah.
You know, just thinking
Yeah.
about things like that. And I don't
Absolutely.
want to get up there and say, no, I didn't enjoy my life.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
worked.
Listen, and I've read some books over the last couple years, and several of them have reiterated how
Mhm.
the best dreams are in the graveyard.
Ooh, I heard that quote one time before, and you just brought it back
Yeah.
yes, I've heard
Because
that quote.
people on their deathbed are there are so many people who die with great dreams that they were
Yes,
too afraid or too ashamed or too whatever to ever get off the ground even a little bit. And
right.
I ain't doing it. I'm breaking all these
No,
generational curses and all this trauma.
exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
undoing it for everybody ahead of me. I do not want kids
Yes.
myself.
No.
But I can parent in another way. I can share my
Yeah.
motherliness in another way.
Yep. It
But yeah,
takes
I'm
me.
undoing it for this family, honey, because we're not gonna keep doing this.
No, we're not. We're just not. And I mean, even I think overall, I don't know what type of era we're in, but I guess we're in the era of breaking generational curses because people on
Yeah.
TikTok, I've seen other female, black females
Hmm.
say, "Well, I am the firstborn and I am the oldest and I've
Yeah.
had to do X, Y, Z, but I didn't ask for it." Like
Yeah.
that's a whole
It is,
I was
and
like,
baby, I
"What?"
tell you what, it will make you angry and resentful because that was some of the
Yes.
work that I had to go through myself last year and the
Mhm.
year before. It was very much, I didn't ask for this.
No.
I have always had to figure out everything. When is it going to
Yes.
be my turn to just step into the step by step?
I'm looking. I'm trying to see if I can see it. When is it going to be
Yeah.
my turn to and I'm just like, forget
I'm
it.
gonna tell you what I've settled on.
What?
Sometimes we are the person who has to trailblaze. It doesn't
Yep.
exist because we haven't done it yet.
Yep. And I'm just at the point where I guess I'm gonna have to create it for myself because I'm
Yeah.
tired. I'm just
Yeah.
super tired.
Have you
I'm so
watched oh, what is it? Love Lizzo. It's on, I want to say HBO Max.
I
When she
did.
said at the end of that, she said, when I told myself that I wanted to see somebody fat like me, black me, and all that, she said, I didn't know it was gonna have to be me.
It didn't know it was gonna have to be
Yeah.
me, but now I created it.
Yeah.
I created,
Yeah.
yep. I love that documentary. She was very vulnerable, but then
Yes.
I mean, she also led us into like, I guess her stage dancers and
Mm-hmm.
things and kind of sessions that they've had and they were
Mm-hmm.
expressing themselves. And I was like, it just dawned on like first of all they're female and then they're black and
Yeah.
then they're obese,
Yep.
so they got all these things against them. And that
Yeah.
lady said, I've never been in a place where I felt so free,
Yes.
like I'm able to express myself. And she started crying, and that it just hit me like a ton of bricks that we are so mean. I
Yeah.
mean, so mean. The public is just so mean to
Yeah.
people. And
Society.
she's like, it's terrible.
Yeah. Because there's all these beauty standards that have never been realistic.
Oh,
And yeah, yeah. And the lack of representation is so much more evident when we receive more stuff. So like I
yes.
know, for instance, there was there was like a diagram on, I don't know, Instagram or somewhere. And it
Mhm.
was a diagram of a pregnant woman, but the diagram, which was not a human, it was just a drawing, was a black
Mhm.
person. And whoever posted it was like, and I've never seen a black person pregnant diagram. And I was like,
Me
now that you
either.
mention it, you're right. And it made me cry because I'm like, damn, we are nowhere. But we're
No,
supposed to be able to dream and visualize and reach for the stars. But we don't see people who are already there on that path. And so, how can you see yourself in that?
and that makes me mad. That
Yeah.
makes me mad because now I'm thinking about it and I was like, I ain't never, and I'm in medicine and it's not created equal at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Now that I'm in it, it's a lot of adversity I had to go through and I'm still going through. But at least the people that I'm working for now is not that much. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, still it's still out there, it's still everywhere, and they think, you're not on their level, even though you have the same degree and you gotta,
If not
it's
higher.
just
Yes.
no, it's not. They still look at you less than.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm happy you said that because now I'm just like, we need to create some black
Mm-hmm.
diagrams. We need to
Mm-hmm.
we need to create some because that's
Yeah.
sad. With our whole life we've been seeing people that don't look like us and we're just like, okay, that's just the way it is, not
That's
even
just the
knowing
way
we
it
don't
is. Yep.
conform. Yeah. God.
Yeah.
That makes me angry. That makes
Yeah.
me angry. But I'm glad you said that.
Mm-hmm.
So, my love, how many years has it been for you? You said 2020. So, it's been almost 3 years for your coaching business.
Mm-mm. 222
What?
22. So just
Oh,
since
22.
February
Yes,
of
you did
this
say
year,
that.
yes, I am fresh out the gate.
Huh. Well, if people want to find you or support you, or if they're like, yeah, I do want to do speaking, like,
Mhm.
or I do need help with this, or I just want to run this by somebody, I
Yeah.
need her. Like, how can they find you?
Yes. So I am on all things social media as Coach
Mhm.
Yamz, Yamz.
Okay.
You can find me on LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the things. If you go to chat with yams, yamz.com, you can book a 10-minute
Mhm.
call with me for us to have a conversation.
Okay, I love that. I love
Mhm.
that. Yams. Did you and that made me think about Charlie Wilson, and so can I get to
Let me
them
tell you
yams?
something. I have been yams since I want to say college. Like that's just what people started calling me. It stuck. And then
Uh-huh.
also I did a sorority in college. I'm a Zeta.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Okay.
and so I started throwing Z's on things back then,
Yes.
and it just
Uh-huh.
stuck. And so here we are, fast forward, and Masego and whoever else has this Yam song, and Charlie Wilson's out here doing, and everybody else. And I'm like, yes, theme song. Come find Coach Yams and tie that to me, please. Let's do
Yes.
this.
Yeah, you should really. You should play the song "Can I Get to Them Yams?" Are y'all tired of trying to figure out what to do or how to speak or how to move forward?
Yeah,
Are you stuck? And have Charlie in the background hitting the
yeah,
notes. I'm here for it. I'm
yeah.
here for
I
it.
see this for myself.
I can see it. And I'm like, I know her.
Yeah,
She was on the show. I know her. I love that, sis.
yeah.
Well, I know that we're towards the end of the recording, but I do want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing this with us, and sharing your story and sharing your laughs and your personality with us. I've surely enjoyed you. If you had to give anybody that's listening advice, if it's rather towards like just stepping into who they are and becoming their own person, or taking that first step of faith, maybe they have an idea that they want to bring to life and maybe they're lost and don't know where to start, what would you tell them?
Yes. I say two things. Number one, you don't have to know how, you just have
Mhm.
to start moving. One step is more than no steps. And if you take one step every single day, you're way closer than if you sat and thought about it. So get in action. Even if you don't know what it is, take the step that you know you can take. And for me, what my personal experience has been with that, because I didn't know how to first of all, if I needed an LLC,
Mhm.
and the booking links and the professional email. I didn't know any of this stuff ever. I've never Your girl has been corporate my whole life. I've never had
Mhm.
to do this amount of legwork, but this is what I
Mhm.
want. And so I'm putting forth the effort. And every time I take a step, the next couple things are revealed to me. So just get in action. The path will reveal itself. And the other thing is accountability. Even if you don't have a coach, which a coach would help you get there, because you can't talk, yourself out of a thing when there's another person, unbiased party. But even if it's just accountability with a friend, or setting a calendar event or a reminder, have some level of accountability to keep yourself moving forward.
I love that because I mean, I can get one
Mhm.
day, I can have all the good idea and good intentions in the world, and then something happened one day, and I knew I was supposed to pick this ball up, but I dropped the ball because I'm tired and I don't feel like doing it. So it's
Yep.
good to have
Yep.
accountability. But furthermore,
Yes.
just on a serious note, taking that first step, I'm so happy you said that because a lot of people get discouraged, and I think social media is
Hmm.
such a good tool, but it can be so negative at times when you can get on and you have access to people's lives like that because they only highlight the good stuff. So then you compare and
Yep.
contrast and you're like, well, I'm not like them. And who am I kidding? Like, I can't.
Hmm.
So I'm glad you said that. Just take one step. Don't got to know how, when, where. Don't have to have the funds. Just do what you can do.
Hmm.
I'm happy you said that.
Do what you can. Absolutely. Absolutely. And every day is not going to look like an Instagram reel, honey. There's going to be ugly cries and failure. It's part of it,
Yes. Yes.
but it doesn't define you.
No, it does.
Just keep going.
Yes, and I'm taking that to heart too, because I'm gonna keep rolling. I'm gonna
Yes.
keep rolling too.
Yes. Do
Well,
it.
thank you, my love. Thank you, Miss Yams. I'm Charlie Wilson
Yeah.
gonna be in my head all night because of you. I'm gonna be Thanksgiving over here. I got me a can of sweet candy yams.
Yep. Gonna be everybody rolling. Yams.
Let me, Miss Coach Yams. Let me tell her I was thinking about her today. I had some sweet potatoes, some
Yeah.
yams. Oh Lord. But yes, my love, thank you so much. Thank you for bringing your personality. You brightened my whole afternoon. Just thank you. Just speaking
Thank
with you was
you.
so enlightening. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for listening. I hope that this episode brightened up your day. That's why we do these episodes on Mondays, so it can set the tone for the whole week and just bring some sunshine into your life. I hope that you laughed and giggled along with us. Please check the show notes for all of her information and to contact her and give her feedback about this show if you would like. But until next time, guys, I will talk to you on the next episode. Bye, guys. As always, thank you for tuning in to Resilience by Faith podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and like, share, and support. That's the best way to help me reach more people around the world. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.